So I'm Erin Folk. If you have any questions why I spell my name like a boy, my mother's right over here. I hated it growing up, but in a weird way, it's wonderful for business because a lot of times they think I'm going to be a man coming in. So it's actually turned out very well. I am the CEO and founder of Lily and James Creative. We're a fairly new company. I'll get into this in just a minute. Most of my team's up here. We've got some other people. They're the ones doing social media and photography and videography throughout. So the reason that I talk about personal branding is that I have really grown my own personal brand. I currently have over 11,500, to be technical, 11,707. I just looked. LinkedIn followers. LinkedIn is really, really how my business has grown, and we'll get into that a little bit. Does anyone in here not have a LinkedIn? That's way better percentage, actually. So most of you guys have a LinkedIn. Great. I do sit on the Hispanic Chamber Board, and so I help advise with marketing on that board. And then I've been a member for 8 years of Junior League Kansas City. So this is kind of my fancy credentials to be able to speak here today. Let me tell you a little bit about my company. So Lily and James Creative started June 26, 2016. So we will be turning 2 very, very shortly. I'm currently at 15 employees, and we're hiring a junior graphic designer, if anybody's here. So 71% female. So we have wonderful males that work with us, but we've been very lucky, and I think a lot of females have applied, or we end up getting a lot of people through referrals because we are woman-owned. So we get to have a really awesome culture. For instance, when I said, does anybody have any questions? Our questions that we sent Central Exchange was, we need to know where the pumping rooms are. We've had 5 babies in the past year and a half. We just need to know where we pump. The men have become very cultured that we're just going to talk about it, right? We are just about to hit $1 million in sales, which is right now our all-in goal. And I started this company with absolutely no funding. So a little bit more of the credentials. Reason I started the company, we were just named fastest growing marketing company in Kansas City. A little bit of the reason that I started the company was through my network, I had made some really great contacts. And I was actually running a sales team for another agency world. I had always been in sales and marketing roles, mostly sales roles that sometimes they throw in some marketing duties, right? Nike, has anyone heard of them? Okay. They came to me on something, and they said, hey, we're going to take this brand that's a $100 million brand but has no digital footprint right now, and we want to talk to you about running their social media. But here's the catch. We do not want to work with your current agency. So I said, okay, well, I had purchased the URL, Lily and James Creative, 2 years before that with some birthday money. And I thought, well, if there's going to be a time to do this, this is probably the time. I'm not sure when Nike's going to call again, right? So kind of jumped in, started it, went all in, took a bartending job at nighttime. Probably right now you're thinking, gosh, I bet she learned all that fancy stuff at Harvard. What do you think of that? Or where did she get that fancy marketing degree? How did she learn all of this? So here's the deal, guys. Most of these speakers today are super fancy, super, super fancy. This is the first day I've not worn leggings in weeks. Here is what my actual, not on paper, not online life looks like. I'm 38 years old. Just thought you guys would want to know that. That's when you're supposed to act shocked. I've never been married, also shocking. I'm a single mom of 2 kids by 2 different fathers, one who was a complete alcoholic and I let put his hands on me. For 11 years, I've been raising these kids on my own. I have absolutely no college degree. I've got school loans, but no college degree. And I suffer really, really, really bad from anxiety. So I'm seeing a therapist weekly. We play with my medicine sometimes. But overall, I'm not this like amazing, much like these speakers come off on paper. The reason that I kind of tell you all of this is because, again, why did Nike come to me, right? This isn't the type of person they would usually go to for this kind of stuff. It's because of how I've set up my personal brand online, right? Why do 11,707 people follow me on LinkedIn? Because I look like I have it really together on LinkedIn, right? Because I'm not wearing my stretch pants on LinkedIn, right? I'm in a fancy dress like this. So I'm just gonna give you some of the stuff that I have personally learned. I didn't go to school for any of this. What's kind of cool is when I did go to school in 1998, there wasn't such thing as social media or really the internet. It was kind of, but you had to be like in a fancy thing. It wasn't like an advertising. We still went to Kinko's. We had to tell each other what time we were gonna be there. These girls that work for me don't know anything about that. Tell each other when we're gonna be there, show up, get it printed, all of that, do our whole stuff there. So it was advertising then, right? Everything that I'm going to teach you today or share with you today is just stuff I've taught myself. There's no science to it. There's no secret sauce. I just encourage you to take tidbits and make it work for you. And that's why we did the books without any real bullet points, so you can just write down what works for you guys. Okay. So the number one thing about personal branding and what can be the hardest for all of us is to think of yourself as a brand, right? We've all been conditioned to know what a brand looks like for a business. But how do you think of yourself as a brand? Does anybody in this room not know who these people are? Nobody, huh? Now, I'm going to venture to guess I'm probably the only one with a picture of the Kardashians in my presentation today. These are the Kardashians, obviously, and they're very polarizing, and most of you probably aren't huge fans, right? However, I strongly, and I will go to war with you on this one, believe that nobody has done personal branding better than the Kardashians. Do you guys understand that Kourtney Kardashian today is sitting speaking with Congress about how she thinks the law should go for makeup? What? What? Nobody has done personal branding better than the Kardashians. And do you want to know why? Because Kris Jenner back there 100% believed that they were the brand, right? Even when they started their stores before all the reality TV shows, it was Dash. Kardashian, that's where they got it. I mean, they've always just thought of themselves as a brand. So you need to figure out how to think of yourself as a brand. Now, this can be tricky, right? Especially if you're not a business owner, if you're not a realtor or a dentist or a doctor or one of those careers that really calls for your brand. If you're head of HR, if you are, someone that works in a recruiting firm or something like that, how do you think of yourself as a brand when you're working for a brand? So that's kind of what we're going to get into a little bit here. You'll see this in your book, and it says that if you do not define your brand will be defined for you, right? So I really encourage you right now to start thinking, who am I as a brand? I don't think even 20 years ago we were talking about branding ourselves. I now think that we have no choice but to talk about branding ourselves when it comes to everything, but especially our careers, especially career advancement, especially if we're going to start a business or be the best realtor or, grow a company, any of that stuff, you have to think of yourself as the brand. Okay, so now we get into the fun stuff. Step 2, audit your online presence. So does anybody know the best way to audit your online presence? God, you guys are good. Google. Has anybody in this room not Googled themselves within the past 6 months? What? Has anybody in this room not Googled themselves within the past year? All right. Do you guys know how much the internet's changed from last year to this year? Has anybody in this room ever set up a social media account and then decided maybe Twitter just wasn't for them? Okay. But you went ahead and you put your pictures on there. You probably made a couple first tweets that were probably ridiculous if you're anything like me, right? Like, I just got Twitter. Stuff like that, right? Or me and my friends at the lake. stuff like that. Fun fact, when you Google yourself, that Twitter account's going to pop right up at the top, right? Google takes Twitter's pictures and puts a lot of emphasis into them because right now nobody owns Twitter but Twitter, so everybody's kind of flirting with purchasing Twitter one day. So right now, anything that you would have put on Twitter is going to come right up. Anybody ever opened a YouTube channel, put a stupid video, then never used it again? Okay, just my 11-year-old. We've got like 7. Google also owns YouTube. So any of those videos out there associated with your name, there it is. How about Facebook accounts? Anybody ever opened a Facebook account and then decided that's just not my thing, but you didn't go ahead and set your privacy settings? You guys are really good. Anything that has been put on the internet that is associated with your name can come up when you Google yourself. The other reason to Google yourself is maybe it's not stuff that you did, right? So, fun fact, and actually my boyfriend's sister's in the audience, and I don't know if she knows this, but when I started dating my boyfriend, I Googled him because that is called being careful, right? Not stalking, being careful, being smart. So I Googled him. And then I sent him a text message immediately and said, I forgot to ask your last name. Or not your last name, your middle name. I knew his last name because I had to Google. I forgot to ask your middle name. And he now knows I'm pretty crazy. But at the time, he was just like, why? And I was like, I just need it if you want a second date. Well, here's the thing. So his name's Mark Stockwell. Hands off. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Kind of, not really. Okay, so he's amazing. He's Mark R. Stockwell. But guess what? I think it's Mark N. Stockwell. Not so amazing. Not so amazing. Few domestic charges, 1 sexual charge against him. Maybe raped a girl, maybe didn't, but I didn't want to go out with that guy, right? But it was a middle initial. It was the middle initial. So if you put in Mark Stockwell, you're just going to be guessing, right? So when we're talking about auditing and coming up with our personal brand, if you have a name that could be common, now we get back to our personal branding. So if you're Jane Smith, maybe now you want to go with Jane M. Smith to set you apart from all the rest of the Jane Smiths, right? A lot of that comes to what location, what industry, all of that. There's going to be a lot of lap over in names, but understanding what else is out there that could be associated with you is just as important as what you're going to put out there. Anyways, I've only found really great stuff on him, so in case you're wondering, 1 speeding ticket, it's fine. Okay, now we're going to talk about establishing your platforms. So this is probably the one we're really going to talk about a lot today because at the end of the day, what your brand is really where you need to be. So now we have discovered our brand, right? Our personal brand. So we're going to use different examples and we're going to have some participation from you guys. But there is a million social media sites out there. There are a million different blogging sites. There's a million different websites out there. There's a lot. There's a lot to do. There is a reason that my company has grown so fast, and that's because there's a lot to do, and people don't have time to do it all. So you want to use your resources and your time and your energy in the best way. So let's kind of just go through some of the different resources. So LinkedIn. Who do you guys think, in what sort of career would it be important to be on LinkedIn? It's a really good answer. I feel like almost all of them, if you're in any sort of business, you should be on LinkedIn. We kind of have this, I don't like to call it a fight, but this discussion with our clients a lot of times. It is shocking how many people think that LinkedIn is just not important. Here's a fun fact. 89% of CEOs check LinkedIn at least once a week. 89%. They may not check Facebook, they may not check Instagram, but they're checking LinkedIn. So if you are in any sort of career where you're trying to get in front of the decision maker, LinkedIn is where you need to be, right? So here you are. They took my LinkedIn, and just a couple things I like to point out on LinkedIn. Right here, a lot of times, this part right here, See that? Where it says, I'm busy proving your circumstances do not have to define your success. CEO plus founder plus single mama. One of the best pieces of advice I ever got from LinkedIn was that part right there should not be your job. Most people have that as their job. So what happens is it comes up your name, and then it comes up your job. And then if that doesn't catch my eye, I never click on you. And you'll see it now that we've talked about it. Probably about 15, 20% have a description here. That's about as many letters as you can get in there. But a lot will say attorney at law, HR director. What this is right here, they can go on your page and find out what you are. This is a description of who you are that sets you apart from everybody else, right? So I will tell you right now, when I changed mine to I'm busy proving that your circumstances do not have to define your success, within 2 days, I had Australia's top motivational speaker connect with me. And what he wrote is he's like, we were connected with somebody else, and he's like, I saw the thing about your circumstances, and I just wanted to say hi. And then we've since grown a friendship over that. But this right here shows up everywhere your name shows up, and many, many people are doing it wrong. So don't be the person doing it wrong. Be the person doing it right. It has other places for, descriptions and stuff like that. So let's talk about Instagram. What businesses would you think would be good to be on Instagram? Home interiors or fashion? Yep, home interiors, fashion, food. Yeah, good job. Cosmetics, events, travel, photographers. There's a lot of very visual businesses that can be on Instagram. I'm going to go ahead and argue that every business should be on Instagram. And I'm going to tell you why. Most of you guys are probably pretty aware of this, but did you know that Facebook actually owns Instagram? And Mark Zuckerberg, he loves when you use all of his toys, right? So where businesses have really said, I'm going to be on Facebook. And we all kind of have the idea now, like 10 years ago, I started doing Facebook I was in property management then, doing marketing and sales for them. And I said, let's set up everyone a Facebook page. And they're like, this girl's crazy. Then it was weird. Now everybody, you get a business, and usually you get your Facebook page before you get your business license. Now that's where we're at with Instagram, right? And what's happened is that they've made it so that they can connect. You can connect your Instagram to your Facebook, and Facebook gives you more credit with your post, better reach if you're using Instagram as well, because now you're playing with all of Mark's toys, right? So I'm going to argue that every business should be on Instagram, but especially if you're a visual business, you need to be on Instagram. Okay, what about Pinterest? Are there any wedding coordinators in here? Event coordinators? Do you have a Pinterest page? You're going to get one, though, today? Oh, do you? Oh, yeah, we need to get, she's with sporting. They need to get it. Their place is great. Okay, here's a fun thing about Pinterest. Pinterest is a social site, but it is a search engine site. So if you can think of Pinterest as the same thing as Google, that's what it is. And having Pinterest just helps your brand recognition, helps when people Google stuff, helps all of that. So the way that we use Pinterest at Lily and James is we use it as our portfolio. Right? So we put the websites that we've built, we put different social sites and link to those, different blogs, and we use it as a portfolio. So when people go Google stuff, and I bet you see this a lot if people go click on images on Google, a lot of them are Pinterest images, and you actually have to get into that and go into Pinterest. Pinterest is the third most used search engine. So it's Google, YouTube, Pinterest. So being on Pinterest is very important. In the food industries, there are certain industries you'll use it more for actually selling on and stuff like that. But just being on there is going to be really, really important for you too. Okay, let's speak about YouTube. How many people have a YouTube for their business or their personal brand? Wow, you guys are good. Good job. Okay, do you guys know who owns YouTube? Google owns YouTube. So much like Mark, Google likes you to use their toys as well, right? So having a Google page, because it's the second most search engine, is going to be a YouTube page is going to be very important to your brand success as well. Now, YouTube is a funny one, right? Because it's also one you can make some money off of if you monetize videos, where unlike Facebook, they're not paying for our videos just yet, right? YouTube pays us to use their service. Now, you got to get a lot of people to watch your videos. I'll tell you, I had a client one time. He ran a truck driving school, and he just got really annoyed of the trucks coming and being so dirty when they got back that he took his iPhone, and I don't suggest using your iPhone, like do good videos or get a good app. This wasn't a great video. But he took it out there and he said, how to clean the cab of a truck. No, it was not a great video. But his kid monetized the channel for him. He made $20,000 because that video was viewed about 1.5 million times. Because people were looking how to clean the cab of a truck, right? And they were clicking on it and watching the whole video. It was just a few minutes long, but he ended up making $20,000 for YouTube. YouTube's kind of changing some of their monetization right now, but it's still a place that you need to be. Using a YouTube on your website helps you with SEO as well, because now you're using Google's toys. How about a website? So websites are a funny thing. This when it comes to personal branding, right? There are definitely businesses, like if you're a blogger, if you're an event coordinator and it's just you as the event coordinator, not with the business, you need to have a website. If you are the business, you need to have a website. What gets tricky when we're talking about personal branding is that if you are the HR director who just wants to go to the next level of your business, then where do you put that energy into? A website might not be for you unless you want to become a thought leader. And then you start that blog on HR stuff, right? So it's not a full-out website, but it's like a blog website. But you can also now blog on LinkedIn. And I would argue that if you have limited time and energy to do those blogs on LinkedIn, because those 89% of CEOs are on LinkedIn, right? However, if you are a food critic or I don't know, a real estate agent, or the event coordinator we talked about, or a fashion consultant, then you're going to want to have your own website with galleries and stuff like that, where then you can connect to all of your social sites. So really figuring out those different platforms. And what about Facebook? Who do you think needs Facebook? You guys is this because he said you're going to be bad in the afternoon, like we're all really tired? I was a little nervous to come up, and Katie, my sales manager, says, it doesn't matter. No one's paying attention at this time anyways. We just learned that. Okay, the answer is everybody needs Facebook, because just like you got to be on Google, just get on Facebook all the way across the board. Oh, and Twitter. One, if you're male-dominated or if you have male in your demographic at all, Twitter is where the guys are, okay? Two, everybody's flirting with Twitter because somebody's going to buy Twitter sooner than later, so just be on Twitter. So kind of my answer is you need to be on everything, so I'm glad I narrowed that down for you. So if it really comes down to it, though, and you only have so much time, energy, really figure out which ones are going to be the best for helping your career, right? If you want to be, and I keep saying HR director because it's so opposite of anything I know, and I just think it sounds fancy. If you want to do that, LinkedIn's where you need to be, right? What you need to know is if you're on those other things personally, 60% of people that hire check your social media before they set up the interview. And 80% Google you. So if you're on anything, you need to make sure your privacy settings are on, or that it really shows a good representation of who you want them to be. We are clearly a social media company, really heavily based social media. So my girls actually stalk, and I'm mostly female, so we just pretty much stalk people, right, when we interview them. And it is insane, some of the stuff we find. That they'll come in a suit and great and be so fancy, and I'll be, my heart's set on them, and then their profile picture will be them smoking weed. What? Or maybe it was you can tell they just changed a couple days ago because they had an interview, but they didn't turn their privacy settings on. We can still see that. So just making sure that privacy settings, easy way to check your privacy settings is make a ghost account. Don't connect to it. Go look at it. see what someone that didn't know you would be. And then also connect to it through one friend. Like, that's a good best friend that knows you have a ghost account. Mine's Jessie. We use it for all sorts of stuff. Have one friend, because there's different things they can see if they can't see, if you have no friends in the same circle, they can see one thing. And then if you even have one mutual friend where it's that friend of friends, then they can see a whole different thing. So make sure you look at both so that you can see what any job person that's looking to hire you is going to see, okay? Okay, step 4, start connecting. And this one is very, very important. Has anybody in here, and I promise I won't beat you up about it, okay? Has anybody in here not accepted someone on LinkedIn because they did not know them? Jeez. We only have 30 more minutes. All right. Out of you people that raised your hands, who raised their hands again? Okay. Have you ever been to a networking event? Yeah. If somebody walked up to you, if I walked up to you, we don't know each other. What's your name? Hi, Christina. I'm Erin. If I walked up to you, would you just turn around and walk away?
No, I would not.
Who else raised their hand? I like your purple dress. What's your name? Where's your name tag? Oh, Angela, you had it hidden. Have you ever been to a networking event? Okay, we don't know each other, right? Okay. If I walked up to you at the networking event, would you just turn around and walk away? No. Okay. Any of you people that raised your hand, would any of you walk away if I walked up to you at a networking event? That's so weird. So weird, because you guys are pretty much doing that on LinkedIn. Okay, let's hear your reason.
I will go and check to see if they know somebody that I know, if it was a reason why they sent me a request. And usually it's from somebody that's international, that doesn't have any other connections, or it's something that is some weird reason why.
We're not talking about bots or like weird things where we can't pronounce their names. We're just talking about like Aaron Folk's going to connect with you. My picture does this. Yeah. You would probably turn me down. You would accept me? Okay. Hold on, she has a question. I'm saying that I believe that this is not a Facebook rule. This is not an Instagram rule. This doesn't even have to be a Twitter rule. I believe on LinkedIn that a lot of people don't use it as a networking service. And if you start thinking about it more just like when you go to a chamber event or something like that, it becomes a lot more useful. You already know who you already know, right? If I'm going to get a job somewhere and it's going to be from someone I know, they already know me, right? They're probably on my Facebook. They're probably on my Instagram, maybe on my Snapchat, maybe on my Twitter, right? We probably text sometimes. I already know those people. So how do I meet the people that I don't know? Yes. Hi. Mm-hmm.
Introducing yourself. So what we usually recommend to our clients, or people in our classes, is that if you send a LinkedIn invite, tell them how you know them. Hey, I met you at such and such event, or hey, we've got this in common. I will never refuse a LinkedIn if they send a note.
Yeah.
But if they don't, and I can't figure out how I know them, I don't actually accept it.
And this is why marketing's not a science, because we all have different... So I think that your chances, if you're trying to get in front of someone, greatly increase. Okay, so I have a friend who was the first employee at Twitter. I also have a friend who's running all of social media at Slack, but before that, he was running all of social media at LinkedIn. Both of them requested me, and neither one had a note, and they both look like California crazy people, to tell you the truth. Why do they want to connect with me, right? This was about 5 years ago. The leads from Nike, where do you think that came from? And we're going to get into what I think that you can do with those connections. But to me, it's insane. It's insanity. If somebody that does look like, they're in Kansas City, they work at Hallmark. I think half of you guys work at Hallmark. I saw the name tags. They work at Hallmark. Maybe we have a couple people in common because that's probably where they saw me somewhere in somebody's news feed. And they click on me and I just say no. To me, that is the same as being at a networking event and walking away. to her point, I think it's awesome if you send a note, if you're the one connecting. But I wouldn't immediately just turn everybody away that doesn't send a note. Because I think building your network is very, very important, right? You have your company Facebook page. You're not going to go in and block the people that you don't know that follow your company Facebook page. That would be really weird and a lot of work, right? We want to grow those numbers. So where LinkedIn is more of a personal social media, if you're thinking of yourself as a brand, then you understand that connecting is a good thing. Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't connect with everyone on Facebook. I don't connect with anyone on Instagram because I put pictures of my kids on there. I checked in here today. I don't want them showing up, you know? I think there's certain times and places for that, so I'm only speaking LinkedIn. But on LinkedIn, I think connecting is why it's there. It's for business. We get half of our monthly leads to this day. I've got 3 people on my sales team, and they're actually awesome on LinkedIn, but they don't have 11,707 followers just yet. We're running a contest. But we get half of our internal leads from my personal LinkedIn to this day. I had a bartend. I wasn't joking about that. I had a bartend because I had 2 kids, and thankfully, my mother over here would babysit at night when I started my company. In 4 weeks, I was making the salary that I wanted to make. And most of those people were on LinkedIn because I put on LinkedIn, hey, I'm starting this company, love to talk to you, and was able to quit bartending in 4 weeks, most of that coming from LinkedIn. So I think there's really something to be said on connecting with people and accepting people even if we don't know them, because how else are we gonna get to know them, right? So that, this is just that's what you're doing, you're connecting, see? Okay. And now you're gonna produce value. So now we've got all these connections, right? Which is awesome, and you can maybe get a speaking event and brag about it. That's pretty much all I'm doing. But what else is the point of having these connections? Why do I have these connections? So the worst thing you can do, and my sales team and I talk about this a lot, and if anybody here has any sort of C by their name, you're gonna know what I mean. But the worst thing you can do is connect with somebody and then send a sales pitch, right? Hey, I was just wondering if I could help you do this. Or, hey, you know how many marketing companies reach out to me to do my marketing? What? So weird, right? I probably get about 50 to 100 messages on LinkedIn a day. Maybe one of them I respond to. And not because I'm being rude, but because all they're doing is trying to sell me. They're offering me nothing that's worth any value to me. They're not producing value at all, right? So now, yeah, you're on there. It's great. Maybe I'll learn something from them down the road. But I didn't click on you. If I wanted your services, I was going to reach out to you or maybe get to know you. We work with people we like. We all know that sales don't happen because you send me a LinkedIn message, right? My company didn't grow because I sent the LinkedIn messages. It's because I had made the relationships on LinkedIn that eventually let them see that I had value to bring to their business. So now we're talking about producing value. So how do you produce value? So kind of one of the trend words in marketing has been content marketing, content marketing, content marketing. What the heck does that mean? We have a content team. It's 2 girls and they write, right? That's what I always thought content meant. Content marketing is anything and everything that you can put out there, right? Because giving value is what really makes you stand out from all of your competitors, right? So some of the different things that you can do is blogging. LinkedIn has a wonderful blogging platform, right? Using your knowledge, you don't have to be a huge writer to be able to do it. People read the shorter blogs, usually anyways, more the visual blogs, the list blogs, stuff like that. Blogging will set you aside. Using video, LinkedIn now has video platforms. Instagram has video platforms. We've already talked about YouTube. Pinterest, Twitter, all of them have video platforms. Does anyone in this room not own a smartphone? Okay, good. So you guys all probably have a video camera on your phone, right? And now you probably have some amazing apps where you can even edit those videos. And then you could put videos on there. Engaging with other people's content. So I always say social media, most people forget the social part of social media, right? They go, me, 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 me. It's the best singing I can do. You're welcome. This is no different than if you were to go to a bar, right? So if Jimmy and I went to a bar, hi, Jimmy, how are you? If Jimmy and I went to a bar and he's like, I want you to meet my friend, what's your name? Hi, Erin, I want you to meet my friend Diana. And I was like, hi, Diana. I'm Erin. I work at Lily and James Creative. This is what we do. And then yesterday I took my kids to do this, and then I did that, and then I'm going to go on vacation, and I didn't let Diana get a word in edgewise. You think Diana and I are going to hang out again? No. Diana's like, no. I'm pretty sure we're not anyways, but. No, because that's what people are doing all day long on social media, is they're going, me, 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 me. So if your content is only about you and not about the subject, right? So content I would share would be like on social media. I would share social media stuff. If you look at this, top 4 2017 social media trends. What does SEO mean for 2017? 7 reasons it makes sense to hire a marketing agency. Why you should consider outsourcing. Boosted posts versus targeted ads. Why use LinkedIn for business. None of those are really about Lily and James Creative. None of them. But what they are about is marketing. Different, like that video right there was seen quite a bit. The boosted posts versus targeted ads on Facebook. Facebook ad management can be the death of us, right? Especially if you're trying to do it on your own. So we put out content that has nothing to do with us. It has our logo on it, and that's it, right? The rest of it is how you do what we're going to ask you to pay us to do, right? But it's value. It's producing value and giving you something that you can use, and then eventually maybe you grow so big from your Facebook ads, you need someone to do it for you. And that's when we come in the picture, right? So really thinking of yourself as a resource to helping people get to the next level. Because we all know that person that it doesn't matter what, right? They are there for you. They help you. They're always the first person, if you have a baby, to bring the meal and make the meal train and all of that. If you become that on LinkedIn, the chances of your career expanding even farther are very, very high, because now you've become the person that produces great content. I know I want to follow you because you're always giving me really, really great stuff. So producing value is huge. The other thing is engagement, right? So every morning I wake up and I do the thing you're not supposed to do, where I plug in my phone and then I sleep right here by it. And then because I'm a mom, I wake up 2 or 3 times and I check it, and I have all these sleeping issues, and it's fine. I know it's because my phone's right here. But since it's right here, in the morning before I get out of bed, I make myself do 10 engagements on LinkedIn. So that seems weird, and that seems crazy. But I will tell you, that is how we get all of those leads, right? Because what I do is I go through my feed, and if it's something I like, I comment on it, or I give it a like, or I tag somebody that I know would really like this, right? And, I mean, these poor guys get tagged all the time. Like, best new project management system, Lexi. Like, new sales rule, Katie. Like, I tag our clients on stuff. I tag my friends that work at Slack and LinkedIn. Like, I tag them on stuff, right? Because I'm producing value through engagement. I've now added that social part back to social media. Who did more than 10 engagements on social media today? Good job. What's your name? Christy Jones from H&R Block. Oh, you got all the time in the world right now, don't you? Which platform did you do at least 10 engagements?
Twitter. Go to my Twitter feed. Yeah.
What's your handle?
K Jones KC.
K Jones KC. Good job. Good job. Who put on their LinkedIn, took a picture of their Lyceum book and put it on their LinkedIn today? What's your name? Yeah, you. You're the only one with your hand on the whole place.
Teresa.
Teresa. Good job. So you have a picture.
I have a picture, used Hootsuite, it went to multiple platforms.
Good job, Teresa. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, so I have a question. Anybody in here, you don't have to raise your hands if your boss is in here, but is anybody in here possibly, these guys got to raise their hands, possibly looking for a new job? Okay, don't raise your hands. Don't raise your hands. if you are looking for a new job or you're looking for a promotion, especially if you're one of the people that your company didn't pay for this and you paid for this on your own, and you didn't put the picture of the book or check in here on your LinkedIn, why? What you're doing today, there's thousands of other women and men that do what you do that are not here getting better, that are not here investing in their career, that are not here making a difference. They're at work waiting for it to hit 5 o'clock or whatever time people leave, and how are you going to be different than them, right? Now, Teresa, what do you do?
I'm a professional developer.
Okay, so now, Teresa, if she's going to go up against another professional developer, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know what that means. You train people. Okay. So you're a thought leader, is what you're doing. Now, if I'm looking at maybe using Teresa or maybe using somebody else, look, Teresa's really making an investment in herself. Wait, what's this Lyceum thing? What is that? Oh, cool. Now I can engage with her. That gives me a reason to reach out to her, right? People can ask what that is. Wait, Elizabeth Smart, like the girl from back in the day? I'm going to ask Teresa how that was. That's amazing, right? Or, what, Teresa? That's a sold-out event. How'd you get that ticket? Right now, you guys got the hottest ticket in town, right? And one of you, they tell me there's 250 of you in here. One of you told your network about it. Okay, just let that sink in. But you guys can still do it. You still have time, so you can do it today. Okay, so anyways, really on LinkedIn especially, growing that network and realizing that that is how people are now understanding what you're doing. They're looking at you as the brand, right? They're looking at you for opportunities that you won't even know that are out there unless you really offer content and value is so important. This is what I was kind of saying earlier, is everybody has a personal brand. Either it's by design or by default, and it's up to you. Because if you're not going to take control of your personal brand, then it's going to take control of you, right? Stuff's just getting added to the internet every single day, more and more. And if you don't handle that, it will happen. Okay, what questions do you guys have? Katie has a microphone. She's going to bring it to you. Okay, back there. This is Katie. She's my sales manager, and she's amazing.
My name is Joanna. I have a question on segregating your personal brand.
Yes.
So let's say you want to be the pioneer woman on the weekend and you're a Java developer by weekday.
Yeah. Okay. So it gets really tricky, and there's certain industries it gets really tricky in, like the dentist, right? If you work for a big dentist group, but you're that dentist. Real estate, it gets really tricky in. That is when you really come into really defining what your business brand is and making that very, very prevalent. And then your personal brand needs to be completely on lockdown. And probably, if you're going to use your name on both, you need to do something where we were talking about the initial and stuff like that. You need to make the clear divide on that, right? So LinkedIn, it's easy to do because you're not going to put your personal stuff on LinkedIn, right? If you're going to do Facebook, I would have a company page set up as the Pioneer Woman. My mom loves the Pioneer Woman. She goes down there. My mom also loves when I point at her 1,000 times. There's a company page, and then there's a friend page for just your friends. You'll see a lot of times, actually Miss Alyssa right here, she's one of our newest girls. She's somebody we could not find on social media, and we're good. And we couldn't find her. And that's because Alyssa's done a really good job of separating those. So Alyssa actually goes by her first name and her middle name on her personal Facebook, and all you can see is the picture of her and her husband, and that's it. Nothing about her, anything like that. But we couldn't find her because she didn't use her first and last name. So really deciding that fine point. Now there's other people, I have a lot of friends in real estate, and I think this is probably a good one, where their personal is also their brand, right? They're on 24/7. This happens with life coaches a lot, real estate. There's quite a few industries, right, that this happens with. They go ahead and they have both of it. They'll have the company page. We'll use Jana Jana that introduced me. She has a Facebook page that's Jana Larson at her agency, and then she just has her personal Facebook page, right? But then she will share some stuff, not all of it, because you also don't want to be annoying and lose all your friends, but every now and then she'll share her business stuff to her personals, right? Because at the end of the day, you can't meet Jana and not know she's in real estate. So if that's more of the way you're going, then I would encourage you to still have the company page, especially when we're talking about Facebook, and then the personal page, and just make sure that you share some of that so people, like, there's no one I meet that doesn't know what I do, right? Because to me, it was very important to put that out there. But there are other people that business is business and personal is personal, and then you just need to make that fine divide. Does that answer? Okay. Anyone else? Back there, Katie.
I think it's great stuff.
Thanks.
I learned recently that there are some new features on LinkedIn, the ability to go live video, and then groups. Can you talk about those briefly, and if there are any other kind of secrets, best kept secrets for LinkedIn users?
Absolutely. So groups is actually not new. LinkedIn has had groups forever, and that's where I made some of my best contacts were groups, right? However, groups are kind of, as they've gotten more popular on Facebook, they've started to get more popular on LinkedIn. I think that groups aren't utilized nearly enough, right? When you join a group, depending on the group, it really puts you in an environment with like-minded people. What's tricky about groups, what I utilize groups for is for advice, learning, education. I don't use groups for leads, right? Because I'm probably in groups with people that know as much as me in the subject or more than me, and so that's not my demographic. Okay, yes, okay, cool. So yes, and that is happening on Facebook a lot, and actually one of the things that we recommend for realtors is while somebody's looking for a house, put them in a group. That's the best time to put them in their group. And then you can put every single house that may come on there, you know, hey, saw this house, da-da-da-da, in that group. And you know how realtors are, for years and 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 years, it's been, the way I'm gonna stay in front of someone is I'm gonna send them a magnet, right, when it's chief season. Then I'm gonna send them a magnet when it's royal season. Then I'm gonna send them a magnet when it's chief season. Then I'm gonna send them when it's royal. I mean, I looked on my fridge the other day, and my magnet's from 2015, some guy I don't know. I think it just came to the house. So, like, that was the way. And now, obviously, that guy's on my fridge, but I didn't even realize it was on my fridge. Now, doing these internal groups is a great way to stay in front of people. You're probably gonna lose people as they buy their house and they get out, but not everybody's gonna go and subscribe from it. So you have a lot higher of a chance of staying in front of them through those groups. What becomes tricky is groups are still sending out notifications a lot, so you need to make sure it's not an overabundance. Like, has anyone in here in a mom's group? Right. So I joined a mom's group that I thought was gonna be great, and my kids are 11 and 6, and I can tell you everything about a 2-month-old, right? So I eventually unsubscribed because it was just stuff. The larger the groups get, the more stuff there is. So if you're going to start your own group on either LinkedIn or Facebook, I would just encourage you to make sure you're still producing a lot of value so people stay in the group, and then also really aware of how you monitor that group. Don't just go make everybody admin and let people add everyone or subtract. I mean, because it could also hurt your brand as well. What was your second part of your question? Yes, so LinkedIn has been rolling out video for the past year, and they're slowly rolling out live through Q4. So some people can and some people can't. In fact, I have a friend that just got any sort of video last week. So yes, if they chose you, but by the end of the year, yes. Again, with anything live, much like Facebook, be selective when you use it because it can be too much for some people. There's nothing worse than saying, Jimmy went live, Jimmy went live, Jimmy went live, Jimmy went live. Why is Jimmy's live so exciting he has to go live? And then he's like at dinner, right? So be very selective how you use any sort of live format. You're welcome. Anybody else? Right here. Oh, I'll do this one, Katie. I got it.
I may have missed this. How did you get your name? How did you come up?
Oh, with Lily and James Creative. So creative at the time was the most searched word for anything marketing services. So I wanted it in the URL for SEO reasons. And then I had been on sales teams for so long, I knew that you hit spam a lot through email. So I thought if I made it look like a name, then I wouldn't hit so much spam. And then Aaron wasn't cool, but I have a Devin James and a Liliana Grace, so I just played with that. And it's Lillian James Creative. It's the longest email address. I forgot that part. But it's different, and people remember it, and it's super, super girly, which is what I like all pink everything. And that is all we have, and we're out like 3 minutes early. Thank you guys so much for coming.